What's going on? Back with another video, and I think I got my image stabilization on with this video because I'm testing out this 60 frames per second. I believe that's how you pronounce it, because I'm using I wouldn't say layman terms, but I'm using nerd talk. Now sometimes with this camera it does drop frames, so yeah, 60 frames per inches, well 60 frames per second, but it tend to, you get the idea. But anyways, everything been trending all over the place, and sometimes I can't get to them all because there be other people on YouTube that be covering some of the most trending topics. So I just want to talk about this whole Little Mermaid situation again. On one of the lowest, smaller channels, I want to talk about the Little Mermaid. I want to talk about that. A lot of black men dating Indonesian or Philippine women overseas, and I kind of like, I've been a subscriber to a lot of their channels because I find it kind of interesting. I find it interesting, you know, that they can summons up enough courage to go get a passport and go way out of another country and be with somebody. Oh no, I can't now. I'm too scared to do that. I'm too scared to do that. So as you can see, sometimes my frames drop. So like if I'm walking, it'll kind of drop. It won't drop completely, but it'll drop enough. You see what I'm saying? It'll drop enough. So basically, what I want to touch on with this whole mermaid situation is that I find it dumb and redundant that in this day and age, still got a problem with something African Americans do. Now we've gotten past this whole thing with allowing gays to do this, and because remember at a certain time gays couldn't do, but now I'm glad they accept it, and I'm glad they coming out and not being afraid of what people say. So it's a big kudos to them. But it's still a problem when it comes to blacks being accepted in a goddamn fantasy. These people act like Little Mermaid is real. Now if the Little Mermaid real, somebody let me know, because that'll be my first time ever seeing a damn mermaid, let alone a mermaid that look like Ariel. And I'm not talking about the Haley Bailey Ariel. I'm talking about the Ariel that we known since '89. That's when the Little Mermaid first came out, was in 1989. If somebody want to correct me in the comments, that'd be hot, you know, that'd be greatly appreciated. But I think Ariel first came out in 1989, because during the 1970s I didn't hear nothing about no Ariel. Because I can name all the different cartoons I grew up with, and I ain't hear about no Ariel in the 70s. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, she came out in '89, and Ariel was always the same: red hair, pale skin, flippers, and a tail as a fish. And I'm like, you know, all you hear from a lot of, well, the last few comments I heard on Twitter, it's all about representation. It's all about representation. You know, if they blacken everything up to, I think now they call it blackwash. If they blackwash everything, then what we gonna have? The rest of the entire movie industry, that's what you're gonna have. The rest of the whole MGM cinema, that's what you're gonna have. You know how many movies I had to sit through when I was coming up as a kid, and I didn't see no representation of me in a lot of the shows? Melrose House, Beverly Hills 90210, Dawson's Creek, The OC. They used to come on a television channel called CW. All these white shows, Full House, Seventh Heaven. I had to watch so many shows, Seinfeld, and this was not by choice, this was by force, because we didn't have no cable, so we had to look at a lot of shows. We were forced to watch shows because we couldn't play in our room like we wanted to, because some of my other siblings used to get into mischief. So in order to keep the mischief down, we had to be up front watching TV. And that's totally understandable, because I got kids. I have kids. When you let them out of your sight for 2 or 3 minutes, they can kill themselves or flood your toilet or do anything like that. And so it's a dirty area right here. And so I was forced to watch a lot of shows, a lot of white shows and white movies, and I didn't have a problem with it. In fact, some of them are my favorite. But it just gives you an understanding of what we was forced to watch, because black people didn't have no identification when it came to representation with the kind of shows. Yeah, some people gonna say, well, y'all had Martin. Martin came out in the damn 90s. The 90s, and that was only like one long running sitcom, and that was still on cable, because that was on MTV. So talking about representation, we never had any kind of representation when it came to films, movies, barely the entertainment industry. In fact, Michael Jackson in the 80s, he was the first black musician to be even featured on MTV. Because at the time, MTV did not have blacks on there. Lord, this traffic. So you see what I'm saying? I'm not crying about what I had to watch. And especially Friends. They make such a big deal about the show called Friends. And I think Friends, to be honest, to be perfectly honest, is one of the most overhyped shows in existence. There's nothing good about the show. There's nothing good about the show Friends. I hate that show. No more on traffic, hit me and kill me. There's nothing interesting about the show Friends. It suck. Look, just think about it. A bunch of unemployed friends that's hanging out in the bar. Now, if that would have been a bunch of unemployed black folks, I don't think that would have been good. And this what kills me too. Some people be so upset when you not talking the way they want to hear. They already label you off. They click off the video. They label you as unintelligent. They click off the video with an attitude. Oh, he not saying what he talking like everybody else. And then they start name calling. That's an unintelligible person. Rather than listen to the argument and see what makes sense and what don't, they'll hear what they don't agree with and start giving you names. But like I said, I was forced to watch a lot of shows and movies because that's what was all on regular network programming. Regular network programming had all those shows. Home Improvement with Tim Allen. You know, like I said, Touched by an Angel with Della Reese. But it was a mostly white show. But it was Touched by an Angel. Like I said, Home Improvement, I covered that one. Friends, Seinfeld, Everybody Hates Raymond. What else? Oh man, it's a litany. I think it's called litany. Well, it's a plethora of them. And oh my goodness, the amount of white movies that they had out. Too many to name. And you get upset because somebody changed your fictional character. It wasn't until maybe 2 weeks ago that fans finally calmed down on the black guy from House of the Dragon, Corlys Velaryon, because the actor that was portraying him is a black man, and they just got over their hatred for him. So I don't understand. That's how you can tell this is America's mostly a country for, not for minorities. They say it is, but if you look at the reports and you look at the daily activities, you look at what's on the news, it's always a story involving a minority or somebody black that's being opposed by somebody of the opposite race. And this is not to speak ill about the country. It's just what it is. It's just like if you're in court. If you're in court and you saying I'm dead something, you have to have proof. Okay? Because if you don't have proof, then it's just what you call hearsay. And hearsay is not admissible in court. Not anymore. You know, so I'm basically saying that it's a load of crap that everybody's so up in arms, mostly everybody. And I'm gonna say this too, and I'm gonna wrap this up. Let me get ready to wrap this up and jump on another topic. I find it ironic because I consider myself a nerd too, because I love anime, comic books, I love comic strips. You know, I try to collect some of the most old comic books, and so I call myself a nerd, so to say. But what I notice is even in the fantasy world, racism tends to follow black people. And some of the nerds, some of the white nerds, they just as racist as you can be. Now, we all supposed to be in this shared fantasy world when it comes to anime, make-believe, and all that kind of stuff. And racism will still find its rear its ugly head. Like, you go to the nerd community, they are super racist. Like, give you a short example. During Black History Month this year, anime always hosts and posts some of their black anime characters for Black History Month in February. It was so many, when I was on Twitter, there was so many angry, and I didn't know the races of them all because sometimes they can hide their face during their avatar, but you can tell just in the way they talk and they text, you can tell who's who. They had a huge problem about the black anime characters dressing up for Comic-Con. All you heard was, how long is this gonna take? I'll be glad when this is over. Man, y'all black people, y'all listen. Why do I have to be subjugated to only watching hood ass films, shoot 'em up films? Why I gotta watch Boys in the Hood? Why I gotta watch Clockers? Why do I have to be subjugated to watch all that stuff? They think black people don't have a fantasy mindset. I have a mindset. I have a fantasy mindset. I don't want to look at nigger stuff all day. It's bad enough if you live in the hood. Why in the world, if I live in the hood, I have to see a shoot 'em up movie? I have to see a crime movie. And every show I watch don't have to always be pro BET. I don't like BET movies. I don't like certain hopeless romantic movies. Certain hopeless romantic movies, I don't like certain movies. But it's just society got things so backwards. They think that, oh, and then they be surprised if you like something that they like. Like I seen a comment on Twitter the other day. Getting back to House of the Dragon. Well, my friend, it was a white guy, say, one of my black friends, I asked him, do he know what Game of Thrones is? He was like, Game of what? That's just your friends. I know about Game of Thrones front and back. I know about the Starks, the Lannisters, the Targaryens. I know all them families. Well, not know them, but I know all the family characters. And it's a fictitious show. But you want me to be subjugated to only watching hood movies, South Central, Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, Jason's Lyric, shit like that. Traumatizing ass movies. I gotta be subjugated to watch that shit. But y'all get to live in fantasy world. Why I can't expand my mind? Well, I'm a damn dragon, or flying on top of a dragon. I want to do that too. I want to live in a fictitious, famous, wealthy family. Everybody don't want to be. Look, if I live in a predominantly black ghetto, why in the hell would I want to just sit down and watch some more depressing movies about people that look like me? Oh, I'm telling you. So with this whole Little Mermaid crap, leave it alone. It is annoying to its peak. It's extremely annoying. Little Mermaid is not real. Little Mermaid came out in 1989. Little Mermaid has red hair. Red hair does not exist in salt water. The character Little Mermaid's father is King Poseidon, who has a trident. King Poseidon don't exist. Only in mythological details, mythological storybooks. He's not real. Once people stop fighting and stressing over that, but I'm gonna tell you what was real. When whites in Hollywood used to play real Japanese warriors, and they used to play real what? Because I know Genghis Khan wasn't Japanese, but I'm using an example. Genghis Khan was played by John Wayne. Jake Gyllenhaal, he was played by a Persian prince. He played a Persian prince, and he's Sweden. You have Margaret Holmes. She played, I think she played a Asian or Japanese woman. So please don't do that. Now, it's okay for white people to portray actual, real, living people, but we can't portray not one of their make-believe characters, or it's game over. Please. You know. So, until society can get it right, it is such a headache. Bad enough we live in a bad society as it is, and you got to turn around and be subjugated to. I'm just tired of hearing dumb stuff. I'm sick and tired of hearing dumb stuff. Like Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid ain't paying nobody bills. She ain't putting no food on nobody's table. All that fighting. Tell you what. For all the people that's upset and angry at the Little Mermaid's character being black, guess what? Go to the ocean that she hangs at, and you can try to meet her. Just get in the water and play. You know, I tell you what, swim under the sea, and just find out if she's real or not. And if you just so happen to not come up for water, then hey, at least you got to see if she was real or not.